Hello and welcome to the Fish and Chip podcast. I'm your host Jason, aka Fish.
And I'm Shane, aka Chips.
And on this episode of the podcast, episode 2, we'll be talking again about The Walking Dead, episode 10 of season 8. What's the title of the episode again?
The title of the episode is The Lost and the Plunderers.
The Lost and the Plunderers, yeah.
Yeah, so that I'm pretty sure that references to the group that lives in the trash.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Probably the trash. I've always called them the trash people.
Yeah.
Honestly, I wasn't a big fan of them until this episode. I feel like they did something good with their essentially killing them all.
Yeah.
I actually think was probably the best thing they probably could have done with them, because they possibly created a really good character in Janice. Because I feel like before she didn't have a lot of personality. But now I feel like her character might get a bit more development.
Well, she definitely deserved what she got in it anyway, because it was a whole.
For the most part,
I didn't really understand the group themselves, because their whole thing was they don't want to interact with other people, and the fact is they got too deep into it. You think they'd realize right after because when they triple crossed Negan's group or whatever it was, they literally should just backed away right away, because they were taking both sides. They were fighting on both sides of the wall, so they were bound to get what they got.
Yeah, pretty much.
Even though it wasn't Negan's order to kill him.
But still, though, it's what happened eventually. I think we might go back to the start of the episode though first, and we'll build our way towards that part, because a lot more happened before that.
Yeah.
With a lot of different characters. The episode was kind of split up into almost. It reminded me a lot of Pulp Fiction. In a way, like the way that they split everyone up into different chapters. So they did each chapter from a different perspective. So the first perspective was Rick with Michonne, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Rick with Michonne. I didn't actually take notes of it this time, but they did start off. They did start off with Rick and Michonne, and it was they titled it each set of the names of the character they were focusing on. And Michonne was the first one they focused on.
Oh yeah, it was Michonne. Yeah, it was Michonne. It wasn't Rick. Yeah,
she was in a bit of a state over
Carl. Yeah, so essentially the episode begins with Rick and Michonne at Carl's grave, essentially with the gun. I thought that was actually quite interesting. I thought at first that he was going to leave the gun on the kind of homemade cross.
Yeah,
essentially, but then he ended up taking it with him, which I think was kind of symbolic of Rick not really following Carl's last words yet. He hasn't really gotten to that stage. At the moment, he's
angry at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. If he was in the 5 stages of grief, he's in anger right now.
He doesn't feel like going by what Carl says at the moment.
Yeah.
He feels what he's doing is right, and the Carl is didn't know what he was talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. So I feel like him taking the gun back off of the grave is kind of like him accepting that violence is going to stay a part of what they're doing, instead of leaving violence behind to settle with peace what's happening between the two characters. I thought it was interesting as well with them trying to put out the fire on the, what was it was like a
what do you call it, it was a hut that it was what's the name of them? It's it's basically one of those things where people go and have drinks.
Essentially, a deck. Almost, yeah. What was the actual what was the meaning of that deck though? Because I'm pretty sure it had.
It was. I think it was where it was probably to do with Carol playing with Judith or something like that.
Something like that. I feel like it had it was important for I feel like Noah or someone like that, an old school character, helped the original architect make it one day or during an episode or something. I feel like it had some importance before. I didn't know what
importance it had, but I felt the interpretation I got, whether I knew what it was or not, was the fact that they were using them trying to get out the fire of trying to save Carol its memory.
No, I get
trying
that.
To save every little bit that Carol was stood for.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately they weren't able to, and they had to leave Alexandria, which felt like they have to leave their homes anyway because of the war and how it's happened, and since they're on the defensive now, they need to move away from Alexandria. But still, though, it was obviously a really profound moment when they had to actually leave probably not the last time, but the last time for now at least anyway.
Yeah, I did.
So then I think they went straight into chapter 2 then with Enid and Aaron, was it? Or was it Negan afterwards?
They might have gone into Negan after, I think.
I think it was Negan, yeah. I literally just watched the episode. I should probably remember this better. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure they went into Negan then and they showed his confrontation with Simon.
Yeah. It was like, it was showing that Negan, there was, like, we've heard this before from Negan, but he has a method to his madness kind of a thing. He is essentially a dictator, but he reckons that it's the best way to save the people.
Yeah.
To preserve mankind. Well, just to preserve civilization. I don't think he cares about mankind itself. He just cares about having some bit of a civilization.
Yeah, I think so. I do think he cares about people, but I think that the way that he sees the world at the moment is that it's something that needs to be conquered and tamed.
He sees it as a way trying to get people to mature. He's like, this world is only for the strong.
Yeah. Kind
of a thing. And also, I know we'll be talking about it later, but him with Tears Over Carl was that was essentially him saying that Carl was actually strong for the world and that he could, I think he said at one stage in another episode that he reckoned Carl was actually braver than Rick and Negan. Because he essentially grew up in this society.
Yeah, like he's essentially the first generation of people that like were raised.
Yeah.
In
the first generation of Zombieland.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, almost. Yeah, like no, like you're right. Yeah, like it's the first generation of this new world, and like they're the generation that's gonna like rebuild, essentially, because they haven't got they've still got some semblance of like the old civilized world, but they're also not completely tied down by it.
Yeah,
in a way, so that like you can see like a lot of the younger characters in the show turn out to be like the most brutal. So like another example of that would be like the actual like the all women society that Enid and Aaron were in.
Yeah.
The character that was calling for their deaths more than anyone else was that young girl.
Yeah.
And she was like that in the first episode too. She was the one that found Tara on the beach, I think.
Well, they did that before as well with the twin. Well,
yeah, exactly.
The sisters, sorry.
That's what I was thinking of too. Yeah.
They did that with the sisters. Becoming evil before, and
one of them went crazy.
One of them went crazy, but the other one was too weak for the world as well. Yeah. So it was kind of them being on opposite spectrums, and there was they did it as well before as well. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
They definitely did it a few times with kids.
They have, yeah. It's like a thing they do. It's like the youth being corrupted, like essentially.
And they kind of like they didn't do it in the comics, but they did do it here in the TV show with Sophia dying. She was a very quiet character and she wasn't focused on as much. So she was too weak for the world, and she ended up getting stuck in the barn.
Whereas Carl was strong, and in a way, like he died because he was too generous.
He was actually leaning towards the sisters.
He was.
At one stage, he was kind of like, where he killed your man before.
Yeah, in like the prison scene. Yeah, no, he was, but then he kind of brought it back a bit, and he became like this guy who people could like rely on and trust and stuff. And like he kind of died for it because of trying to help that doctor. But it was like a thing of like his message is that people should help each other. So it kind of makes sense that that's what would kill him, but it's what could save everyone else. That's like what's so powerful about it, like, which is something that I feel like Rick throughout this episode was really going against the message that Carl had for him.
Yeah, he was kind of he's in a denial phase at the moment.
Yeah,
but I think because he reckons that Negan is you can't cooperate with him, and they've gone too far deep. Which is a fair point, which is fair enough.
It is fair, but I feel like he doesn't know the real Negan, and you could really see it in this episode with, like, especially his, like, getting back to Negan's part of the episode, his conversation with Simon. Yeah. Yeah, like, I really feel like that showed what Negan is, who he is as a man, as a person.
The only thing is, I actually am into as much of a fan of the thing they did with Negan, of him, feeling remorse for Carl. Because I felt he didn't, like, I mean, I feel he didn't know Carl well at all in it. Like, he well knew Carl in the comics, but their only interaction was Carl, like, being over at his place for a tiny bit, but there wasn't much there.
I feel like that's all he needed, though.
You're like a son to me, you're 20 years old, and you're able to fight like any other 20-year-old.
But he's he's 18.
Well, 18.
Yeah, I feel like that's all that Negan needs with people, though. I feel like that's all he needs is like an interaction to like, because he's a really good read of who a person is.
Yeah, but he did that type of thing already. He has a load of like 18-year-olds fighting. I don't know.
He doesn't have a load of 18-year-olds. What are you talking about?
He has a mixed group. Like, I mean,
all of his people are like old, man. They're all the generation.
All his lead fellas are old, but he has a lot of them are young enough.
Yeah, but they've been in their 20s or 30s. But like Carl is like different. Like Carl is like this kid who. Like Negan's... But
he's not a kid. That's the whole thing.
He's like 17, 18. That's pretty young. I mean, there is no one in Negan's group that is that young. We know of. There's kids and stuff, but it's not the same thing. Like Negan hasn't had direct interactions with those people, right? Whereas with Carl, he's gotten a real understanding of who he is. Like by the fact that Carl tried to kill him and like didn't give a shit about the fact that he could die. Like for Negan, that was a big deal because he's like, this guy is the type of person that he's a person of action. Like, okay, he maybe didn't think everything through 100%, but I think that Negan really admired, like, his balls, like, essentially. Which is why he felt remorse, because he felt like, okay, someone like this, like, a man of action, a man with balls, could be the person that rebuilds the world. Like, if I don't succeed, like, Carl can be the person, or, like, at least Carl can be part of what I'm doing. I think he saw, like, a lot of potential in Carl to be, like, a good leader.
I know, I feel it was hard to kind of see that because I felt there wasn't enough coverage in Carl with Negan anyway.
There was a bit, like,
there was a bit, like, I know a lot of what they do now is they don't really cover characters actually properly interacting as much anymore. They just do them flip-flopping back and forth to being, you know, pro this, pro that.
I feel like they've gotten better with it, though, in, like... they've gotten better with certain characters. I feel like Negan and Carl have had enough development for Negan to feel a bit of remorse, especially the development he's had since, like, in this season especially.
Like, I'll admit, Negan's a solid enough character at the moment, but all of them have gone through, all of the main cast have gone through such flippy floppy you know, decisions that it's very difficult to focus on, you know, on the fact that this character is actually a genuine character.
Yeah, but like I feel like recently, especially, a lot of characters' arcs have started to like focus up a bit.
Like, I mean, Rick, you nearly need a journal to find what mood he's in. But is he in a killing mood or in a save the planet fucking mood?
His character makes a lot more sense though of late than it did like in previous seasons. Like the whole Farmer Rick thing and stuff like that didn't make any sense, really.
Well, it did for a tiny bit. I mean, they have to kind of stick with stuff a bit more. They have to tame it down. They do this whole thing where it's like they bounce down to a level.
Yeah.
They go immediately and just bounce out of nowhere, just click of a finger. They decide that they're going to be nice with civilization. It's not developed at all. It's just basically the writers just. They might as well write it down on the screen saying, this character is now against this.
Yeah, but Rick's had a lot more of an arc in the last season and a half than he did before. Like, Rick's arc was essentially, like, he went from being this guy that, like, lost essentially his right-hand man and, like, was broken for a while. And, like, didn't really know what to do and, like, was scared, essentially. To being, like, this guy who thinks that the only way forward now is to kill Negan and, like, restore, like, his rule, essentially. And now... his arc is going to be to go from that to go to like what Carl said, like a man that's like a good leader but also knows when to like delegate power, like knows when to forgive people, knows when to show mercy, knows when to like that peace is sometimes the answer and not violence because you can't kill everyone. Like that's the lesson that Rick has to learn because at the moment, and he has kind of learned it like in like say like the thing with Morales when he saw Daryl kill Morales, and like when Daryl killed that guy later on in the episode too, like Rick did recognize that that probably wasn't. Example. They're pretty good examples in that episode. Morales, like he shows remorse.
Morales, like. When like I mean, the whole thing was just you see Morales and you didn't. Rick didn't get enough time to actually interpret the fact, you know. He didn't get any time to even bond with the character a bit. I mean, they just show a familiar face and then kill him, but that doesn't do anything. They should have done something like, they show the character. He bonds, you know, they have a big bond kind of a thing. Maybe he doesn't have to be around for the whole time. Keep him for, we'll say 2 episodes.
Yeah, no, like,
or one proper full episode, and just kill him off at the end. Maybe, but do it right again. It doesn't matter. But do it in the sense that it's like Rick realizes how fucked the place is.
My point isn't that like Rick didn't bond with the characters. My point is that Rick in that moment thought that there's possibly another way through this, and then Daryl killed him. And I feel like the lesson that Rick was learning there is that he's starting to learn that like maybe the only way isn't to just kill people. Like, by the fact of his reaction when Daryl killed those 2 people, where he was a bit like, why are you doing this? And also,
yeah, but
you can see that as well.
A reaction is a reaction at this point. He just, he all he did was look shocked at it, really. And it's like, I mean, he didn't like, that was just a slight development, and killing off a character like Morales shouldn't be used as a minor development in the character, or a lead towards something. That should be that should be the point where it's like Rick realizes what goes wrong, and obviously how it was cut out, Rick couldn't do that because they just went and shot the character right away. Like,
no, like, I'm not saying that it was good. I'm just saying that like it's kind of the start of Rick learning the lesson he needs to learn by the end of the season, so that he doesn't kill Negan, because that's where they're going. Like.
Yeah,
like,
they're not going to kill Negan.
No, of course not. It makes sense. Like,
Negan's what's holding on to the show as well. For
I don't even think of that, man. The last 2 episodes have been the best 2 episodes of The Walking Dead, I would say, since season 5, possibly. Like, definitely the best in the last like season or 2. Like, they've really come out the gate strong. Like, especially in this episode, I feel like the interactions between especially Negan and Simon, showing that like Simon is essentially the most extreme version of Negan. In a way, like, or like he's kind of like Simon is like one of the main reasons that like violence is still such a big part of this community, because of the way he deals with things. Like, because like Negan's whole thing is that like he'll punish people, like he'll kill someone in the group, but he does that as a deterrent so that people understand like this is why you don't fight, because people die. Like, and like the fact that Negan isn't the person making people fight, like, which is kind of shown by his reaction to Rick at the end of the episode, saying that it's Rick's poor decisions that have led to a lot of the bad stuff that's happened this season. Which makes sense, because if Rick had helped that guy when Carl had said so, Carl wouldn't be dead.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, I understand it and all, but it was just, I don't know, I wasn't a huge fan of the message.
Like, I think it makes well, not necessarily. I'm not saying that Negan's way of going about things is right. I'm just saying that that's Negan's version of like what order is. Like, order is people understanding what their lot in the world is, and helping the community, like essentially being good resources, as he says earlier on the episode. Whereas in Simon's whole thing is like leading through fear, and like if people mess with you once, like they lose their heads. Like.
Well, Negan's thing is fear as well.
Oh, like it is fear, like, but it's different, you know.
A huge part of Negan's method is he's getting them to walk out of fear, because because they know that Negan will not hesitate to kill them or a family member just to get a message across.
Yeah. Okay, maybe fear isn't the right word. Maybe like extreme violence. Like, obviously Negan is violent too, but like Simon's whole thing is like he'll go into community and kill everyone if they fuck with him once. Like,
I understand what you're saying, but what you really mean is that Simon he's the extreme side of his is an extreme violent side of Negan. It's the side where basically if it was just anger Negan had left, Simon would be kind of, well, he contains his anger, but Simon has a different view, and I think it was nice to show that Simon thinks differently to Negan rather than be the exact same person. And it was nice to see how he killed off all those. Well, nice, seeing him kill off all those people. It was like an interesting take on on his character. Like, I don't know.
No, I think so too. I think that like the fact that like Simon killing all those people made sense for his character and like what he'll essentially become. Like, I feel like everything at the moment in the show is hanging in the balance. Whereas in like if Rick is able to not put 2 and 2 together, but like if things fall together in a certain place, it's going to turn to a situation where Negan is going to find out that Simon did something bad, and then like is Simon going to lay down and like take a punishment? I don't think so. And then you look at like Simon seems to have a lot of the firepower in the Saviors. He seems to have the best fighter because Gavin's group are all dead now, wiped out. Like Eugene is like a really smart guy, but he doesn't have men like that.
Eugene's the brain. It was the different forces. They were all assigned all different like personalities, so that they're all kind of assigned to what they're good at. Because Simon's actually good at giving orders.
No, he is.
And the whole thing is he's like a general you'd see in a movie kind of a thing. It's like he's very dirty, like with his methods though.
Yeah.
He's like they respect him, the other soldiers, in the sense that if he was like, he bashed in your man's, he killed all of them, and nobody spilled the beans on him. Like,
oh yeah, they didn't, because they're loyal to, like, basically, like, that's what I'm saying, is that they're loyal to Simon. Yeah. So it's becoming a situation now where Negan may be setting himself up to be overthrown. Like,
the whole thing is,
in a way.
Also, Simon might be the one to take over if Negan was the one to die.
Oh, he would be. I don't think
the whole thing is that's an interesting thing, that maybe they might just go, they might just get Simon to take over the camp next time, or that he gives in to cooperate with the Rick's group or something.
Simon is definitely not going to do that. I think that's like a complete misunderstanding of what Simon's character is.
No, Simon was like, he was like to Negan that they should just kill them all. No, he was saying that they should just leave. We kill him. No, he said kill him, but he wanted to leave. He said to go off, because he said what Simon said was the best thing to do is to leave where they are and find civilization.
No, what he said was to expand their search, like expand their radius, which essentially means to expand the amount of territory that they control. Like, and by expanding their territories, what they would do is go out and find new communities to farm the exact same lands that they already own and have. Like, what Simon wanted to do was essentially go and wipe out all of the communities that are in the area. Just kill them all. Like, which is like the complete like opposite of what Negan wants to do. Like, Negan wants to use the people as resources, because like in a kind of twisted, fucked up way, he sees himself as like a savior, essentially. Like the person that is going to lead the future forward. And that's why he wanted people like Carl, because he was like, I see potential in Carl. I see that he could be a leader of men. He's young. Like, he could inspire a new generation to like follow me. Like,
do you remember that group that Daryl was ended up stuck with for a bit? There was it was John, DeBette, and Daryl arc. It was basically Daryl went off with a load of guys that were kind of rapists and all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember them?
Yeah.
He's where their whole agreement was, that they protect each other, but there's no what they get is their own, like, kind of a thing.
Aren't they all dead now?
They're all dead now.
I remember
now. They're all dead. But what I'm saying is, Simon kind of leans towards their group, where he kind of like he does. I'm sure Simon's probably a rapist to that himself, but
I maybe he wouldn't be do that, but I see in the way that like he
definitely has a violent side,
Man, we've seen his violent side anyway, but like I see what you mean. Like, he's the type of guy that, like, as in, you saw his reaction when one of his men ended up coming back dead in the casket from the hilltop. He wanted to go in and like get his men back, because like he seems like he's loyal to his men, like his group above all else. And then outside of that, he really couldn't give a shit about anyone else. So like outside of that, he would kill everyone else and would feel no remorse about it at all. So that's where him and Negan are really like on different sides of that argument, because that's not what Negan's like thing is. Like, that's why when he says to Rick at the end that you failed as a leader and you failed as a father, it's so profound, is that like to Negan, like, Rick's poor decisions have like cost so many people their lives, whereas Negan thinks that he's never ever made a bad decision, which he definitely has. Well, like 100% he has made bad decisions. No,
Negan has acknowledged it before. He's even there was the whole thing with him talking about his wife.
Oh yeah, no, I mean as a leader, not as a husband. As like, a leader, that's completely different.
As a leader, I think he said something about mistakes. I'm pretty sure. But
about himself, I don't know. Like, I don't think
I'm pretty sure I don't think he's that all high and mighty.
Yeah, like, I'm not sure if he's all that high and mighty, but high and mighty. I mean, but what I would say is that.
Well, I mean, the whole thing where he said, where he said about him being a savior, he fully believed it.
Oh yeah, like,
remember the
100%,
whole thing where it was like, Simon was like, and save everyone. He kind of had the whole pause. It was like, he kind of like was very hesitant. He was like, "Oh, that's kind of bullshit," Simon himself. But Negan went and he said it without any like laugh or any chuckle or any like pause. He went and he was like, "Yeah, because I'm a savior."
Yeah, it's because that's what he believes. Like he believes that he is there to save everyone, and like Rick is getting in his way at the moment. Like,
because I mean, like, I don't know. It's hard to tell whether he thinks he can do any wrong or that. I mean, I feel like his character is just that he just moves on.
Well, I think Negan, where he needs to go, I'm pretty sure where he goes in the comic books is that he needs to admit to himself that like that he can do wrong and that his methods at the moment are wrong.
Well, that'll be next season arc.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, it's probably going to start at the end of this season. Like, I don't know if the war's going to end at the end of the season. It possibly could.
They kind of have to.
I hope it does. I'm enjoying it so far. Don't get the first half of the season was pretty crap.
I mean, the whole thing of this season is them teasing the fact that there'll be another society. I know that was a dream sequence, but it was literally it was the idea of what they're going to do next.
Yeah.
And that idea is going to somewhat continue into the next season, and that idea is going to be continued.
Yeah, of course, because like there's probably going to be the time skip that we were talking about before.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things of like towards the end of the season, like I feel like Negan will probably have a bit of an epitome of like the stuff that he's doing isn't necessarily right, or he's like his intentions aren't exactly wrong, but his methods about going about things is like regressive for what the world needs. Like the world needs like someone that can unite people, like not through fear, but like through love, essentially, like, which is what Carl's message is.
I kind of like if the time skip is long enough so that there be a good interaction between Judith and Negan.
Yeah.
As in, there's a whole thing where because they did it in comics where Carl goes and visits Negan in the cell, but Carl hates Negan in the comics. But
Judith's gonna hate Negan too, like. But definitely.
Judith, Judith
for the most part,
doesn't really like she's only seeing it with young eyes, like at the moment, so she doesn't know what. I mean, she's only 2.
I think she's like 3 or something.
2 or 3.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember. She's oldish. Like I feel like I think the time skip could be 4 or 5 years. Yeah. I hope it is. That would be great, man.
Oh, they're not going to do 4 or 5 years.
Do you not think?
No.
What do you think it's going to be then?
Maybe 2 at most.
Do you think 2? I think it might be more than that, honestly. I feel like it could be.
I know.
I feel like that could be interesting.
I don't think they did that in the comics. I think they did it 2 years.
Yeah,
maybe they did it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man. It's just because a lot of things have changed. Like, there's no Carl anymore. So, like, a lot of things are going to change from now on. Maybe there might be storylines and stuff. What someone said to me today, which was quite interesting, with Janice's character, who I think could be a really fantastic character after this. I feel like that entire junkyard crew have been pretty poor so far.
I think she might join the Whisperers.
That's what he said was that he thinks that she could become Alpha.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was thinking she might have. I think she. Well, I don't know if she'll create it. I think she might be. She might take it over. I think she might become Alpha.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is Alpha and Beta. So it's a title. Alpha's just a title.
Yeah, I think that could be really interesting. Like, I feel like not helping her could be like Rick's biggest mistake on the show to date or something like that. I feel like it could really cost him, and that would be good because it will show Rick that because I feel like sometimes Rick doesn't actually pay for his mistakes as much as he probably should. Like, I'm not gonna say not onto the level of like Jon Snow in The Walking Dead these days, but I feel like sometimes Rick doesn't get away scot-free, but he really doesn't pay as much as he probably should. I feel like this could be one of those times where he really pays for something he does. Because it was really, man, I was like, wow, what a dick when he did that. Like, I was like, I know that your one was a bit like the stuff that she did with that group, like, she's a bit of a shithead, like, and I feel like she screwed Rick over really badly in the past.
Well, every character in The Walking Dead is redeemable.
Exactly, like, but that's the thing. But like, Rick literally saw her in her like weakest moment. Her entire group and all her friends have been killed, and like she finally showed like her human side to Rick, like in a way, and he like completely abandoned her. Like, I'm not saying he should have brought her with him, but I'm saying that he probably should have helped her escape. I feel like that could have saved them a lot of bother in the future. Like,
the only thing is though about the biggest thing about this season is it's hard to tell who's good and bad anymore.
Yeah,
it really is, because in the comics there was still a line. There was still some bit of a line between, they had actual goal of what they were going to do. It was like they wanted to unite all the places together as well, like, and save themselves. But now it's just like, oh, we have to save ourselves from the evil dictator Negan. Yeah. That's all the goal is, and in the process they're slaughtering everyone. With Daryl having complete hatred for human life itself and going off and slicing off heads, and then the fella Carl's friend that he saved, they're like, oh, they were half tempted to kill him because he was on the site whether he was a savior or not. I mean, there's no good side at this point in the show, and that really is like, it's just, I wish they could sort out. I hope next season now they sort out with a time skip, sort out what position of characters in, because they're really going ridiculous with it.
Like. I do like though. I like grey characters. Like, I don't like things to be black and white. Like, I do get what you mean about like
a time skip messy. Needs a refresh, but is a refresh.
Oh, it definitely will be,
because they need a refresh button at this point. Well, like, it's not going to be refresh, but it's gonna give them a bit more to work with, like.
Well, like, I feel like the best part about the time skip is going to be the fact that the new showrunner will have full control then, which will be great, because Scott Gimple is gone now, thank God, because like the show was really, really going to shit since he came aboard. Like his seasons of the show have probably been some of the worst, I would say. And actually, the new showrunner wrote this episode 10, and I feel like this was definitely one of the best written episodes of The Walking Dead in the last like 2 years. I would say I'm a massive fan of her. Like, I hope that she gets the control that she needs and wants over the show, because I feel like she could do something really good with it. Because at the moment it is very messy. Like, I feel like they have really helped themselves with these 2 episodes. They could set themselves up very well by the end of the season, I feel. Like, because of stuff they're doing with Negan, like showing his more human side, like having actual like massive differences between like the Savior's leadership, and like seeing like who could be bad, who could be good. Like, I feel like all of the different leaders in the Saviors, except for, I think that they all are quite different for the most part. You see like it in small bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Their differences.
Well, like, I appreciate that. They all have the same kind of idea, because the idea of them all calling themselves Negan is they're all one, and they all kind of share, just the dictatorship mentality. Yeah, but I think they differ in like mythology and like actual like philosophy as well. Like, their philosophy on what the world should be is kind of different, which is like shown by the interactions between people. I reckon like to a minor extent. I'd say to a major enough extent. Like, but the difference between Negan and Simon is vast. Like, in the fact that like, man, like Negan is like. Well, it doesn't make that much. I mean, this is the first time we saw that making an effect on the actual. Well, not really. Way they run things, because the whole thing is that like, all of them look up to Negan, so they all obey his philosophy anyway. I mean, Simon lashed out there, but he just found out half the crew is kind of dead, and they're all kind of rotting away at the moment. They're actually more desperate than they were in the comics, I reckon. Well, like, at the moment, because I mean, next few episodes we're going to see them going over the Saviors actually actually start to recover and actually have a chance of winning. Yeah, no, I think that the actual tide of the war is going to go a bit more in their favor in the next 2 or 3 episodes, because it's been all one-sided at the moment. Well, yes and no. Like, it's slaughtered. It's been very one-sided for now. Like, I mean, they did slaughter Ezekiel's camp. I mean, that's hardly going to be that's a big thing to do. But I mean, for one thing, the Saviors have done, 2 things have been done by the actual crew. Yeah, but that's because they had the element of surprise and they managed to like trap Negan and stuff. Like, one thing I will say about Simon is that, like, I don't think this is the first time that he's lashed out or done something like that. Like, that it showed there was disagreements between Simon and Negan at earlier parts in this season too. Yeah, but Simon always obeyed anyway. Well, to a certain extent, you could always tell that there was this deep-seated disagreement underneath. Also, another theory that some people have had that I've seen is that the group of women, you know how all their men were killed by the Saviors? Yeah. A lot of people say that was Simon that did that. Like, as in, this is just a theory now, that Simon was the one that did that with his men, and that Negan actually had no idea that happened. So, like, there is
a bit of, there is kind of like a sense that like maybe Simon has done other things in the past that Negan doesn't know about.
That's interesting enough.
I think it's interesting. We don't know yet. Like obviously, it's just
I don't want them to. I don't want them to like redeem Negan too much. I mean, I don't want them to be like, oh, he actually didn't do this. I want them to be like, oh yeah, he's done this, but he's agreeing to live in these theorems now, and he sees their philosophy to be true, and that he has to walk with what he's done.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like,
I don't want him to go. I mean, like, that sounds interesting, all of Simon being the one to pull the trigger and all of that and stuff. But I mean, I feel also how they talked about it anyway before with him being killed off. They were sent a warning first.
Yeah.
And they killed off a few of them, and then later on, because it was because of continuous attempts to disagree. It was continuous disagreements that they killed them off.
Yeah, yes and no, but then
because they were just went to kill off. They killed off all the men because they were the muscle, and they weren't going to stop fighting.
Yeah.
The women were workers anyway, nonetheless.
Yeah, but then they broke off entirely from.
Well, they broke off, but that wasn't the whole idea. I mean, like if Simon was going to, the flaw in this theory is if Simon was to go and kill off all the men, I mean, he obviously either he knew he was telling them to go away, he was expecting them to go away, or he wanted them to stay there and keep walking.
Yeah. And
the whole thing is, if they stay there and walking, and he did that without Negan's authority, that would look bad on Negan, and Negan of course would do what he did to Dwight.
Yeah, but then
he will give him the bun in the face.
Yeah, but sure, if Negan doesn't know, like.
But I mean, the whole idea is Negan's going to find out about something like that, about someone killing off all the men, because Simon does not know that the women are going to escape. That's the whole point. Simon will kill all of them rather than just the men themselves.
But then, how do they know that Negan didn't give the order for that? Like, as in, how do the women know at all? So, like, what you're essentially saying is that, like, the women are going to go off and tell Negan, "Oh, Simon killed all our men," you know?
But I mean, the whole thing is, the whole thing is people is going to. I mean, how are you going to keep a secret of the fact that there's just women running the place there? I mean, Negan doesn't have to go down himself, so it's just something that's going to be. It's just something that he'd find out eventually, that all the.
Well, not necessarily. I mean,
they're not going to rat out Negan, but I think that's just. I don't think that's a.
I don't think it's as far as stretch as you're saying. Like, I think it's very far stretched. No, because like Negan's.
And I don't want to be true. I'd be very annoyed if that becomes the case.
I wouldn't be annoyed at all.
I think that would be terrible character development.
Not necessarily.
Oh, I think it'd be horrible. I mean, Simon's just a side piece at this point. That's all he is. He was introduced as people thinking he was Negan, but he's just. I mean, he's known because he's Trevor or that, and that's the aspect he has in him. But it's just, he's just a side character, and Negan's what the focus is on. And the fact is that Negan has to show, it's not that he likes killing, but he has no problem with it. And he goes and kills off all the men. He kills off all the men like he did in the comics because that's what he was needed to do. And like, I mean, for feck's sake, Simon was Simon the one to go and kill off a second fella when he after Abraham? Negan went and he swung the bat on Glenn because they weren't listening. If they didn't listen again, Negan would have went and swung the bat on Carl. He would have swung the bat on someone else. He would have kept going and realised by the time that even if they did give in, that he would have went and he would have killed off all the men.
Yeah, but there's a difference.
And they also fought back. The other camp fought back.
Like, there's a difference between killing one person off because someone fucked up, than massacring an entire group of people because someone fucked up. Like.
Yeah, but Negan wants to kill off all the leaders anyway against him. That was the whole thing. He was like,
yeah, but there's a difference between killing 3 leaders or massacring entire groups of people.
But he was only killing the men. The women are still workers.
Yeah, but sure. But I'm saying, like, he killed like 7-year-old kids. Like, he killed off 7-year-old like boys. Like, they killed 7-year-old boys in that group. Like, Negan doesn't really kill kids like that. So, like, that goes completely against what he would do. But Simon, on the other hand, would do something like that, you know?
He does have a bit of remorse for for children, but I still don't think that's too far-fetched, because the whole thing about his character is he doesn't go to kill women, but he kills them if he has to, and he kills kids if he'd kill a kid if he had to as well, because because that's the type of character he is. He does. I mean, he kind of enjoys to kill men. I think there is definitely enjoyment out of it because he smiles and stuff from it.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is he gets it killing off kids is like, he does it when needs be.
Yeah, but
and that's the whole thing.
I'm not sure if that was a situation where it was needed. Like, we've never seen him do it before. Like, we've never seen him kill a kid before, right? Or like even give the order to kill a kid in the past. So killing off like a bunch of kids, like, and the rest of the men, an entire group, that seems kind of like mad. Like, whereas from what we know about Simon, like, I think that your thing of like Simon being a side piece, like, I really don't like that. I feel like having your side characters have a more prominent role in your story is a good thing.
I mean, he does. He's a big enough role, but I think he's just not going to go anywhere. He's just going to be. He's going to go. He might
honestly. I think having him as an extra factor in the show is only a good thing for me.
He's going to be used. I call it now that he's going to be killed off at the end of the season.
Oh yeah, definitely.
As a whole, probably by Negan. By Negan making a truce type of thing. It's like Simon's the closest thing to that thing of his personality, and he swings the bat on Simon.
Something like that could be good depending on how it's done. I would actually like that for the most part. I feel like it would be better though if he killed off Simon but still wasn't forgiven for everything he did. Like, as in, he killed Simon out of principle, not to make a deal. Like, because Negan wouldn't kill Simon to make a deal.
Well,
like, I don't think he's the type of guy that makes a deal like that.
I mean, he's a clever guy. He does make. He would make a deal like that, but and like he does in the comics, but I don't think that's too far of a stretch.
No, I don't think so either. Honestly, man, it could go either way like that. Like, I think we'll wrap up the episode.
Yeah, I just want to talk. The letters as well, because I said the last time. They did letters to Negan in this episode, and I don't know if they're going to end up reading it out, but I'd say in the last episode they might read out the one with Negan.
I hope they do.
Because the whole thing was, it was summarized, but at the same time it's like, that's surely going to get read out. Like,
yeah,
I think if Negan gets put into a cell, Rick's going to hand it to him.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. I think that it could actually be quite a cool thing to end the season off with.
Yeah.
Like Negan reading the letter in jail in like Carl's voice.
Yeah,
that could be quite cool. Like, I think that I'm liking the way that the letters seem to be playing out at the moment. Like, it's really hard to say. There are 6 more episodes, so we'll see what happens in the next 6. But I feel like it could be something quite good. So yeah, I think that we'll wrap it up.
We'll take a break.
Yeah. So what would you give the episode overall anyway? Because we might as well do kind of a rating.
I give it around a 6.5.
Damn, man. I think I gave last week's episode a light 8. So I'll probably give this like a mid 8. I really liked it. I thought it was quite good. Like,
it was alright. I mean, it was.
Give it a solid on the face.
I just watched Walking Dead out of habit at this point.
To be honest, I was like that before. The last 2 episodes have changed my mind a bit. Like this episode especially, the stuff they did with Janice, with like her essentially killing all of her own like people, even though they were walkers, like putting them in that meat grinder was quite mad. Yeah. Like, I feel like Simon massacring that group of people was a really good plot development. Like, everything. The only thing I really didn't like about the episode was like Aaron and Enid's part, but like, let's not even talk about that because it's just like, who cares? Like, I like both their characters, but the part of the episode. So yeah, so I think that we'll leave it at that for the Walking Dead part. We'll be back in about like 5 seconds with our reactions to the Oscars. So yeah, thank you. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about the Oscar ceremony, which happened last night, March 5th, in LA. So, I don't think either of us actually watched the entire ceremony altogether, because it's essentially
I watched summaries of it. I watched the highlights.
I watched the highlights too and all that stuff.
Because I saw a good bit, and there was a few jokes cracked between. Jimmy Kimmel's actually a good host.
I like Jimmy Kimmel a lot. Like,
he's a very good host for it.
I just didn't watch like the entire thing overall, because I don't like how like self-congratulatory the whole Academy gets.
Yeah, I saw the monologue, which was good.
I like the monologue. I think it was funny, man. I enjoyed it.
Kimmel says a lot of things that he shouldn't say. Like he brought up the rape allegations. He brought up Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, he brought up everyone's bringing up Harvey Weinstein. That's like literally like such an easy dig.
Easy dig and stuff.
Of course, he is a shithead, so like he deserves it.
It's still a bit of. It's still kind of It's still difficult to talk about it in something that he would have been nominated for last year. Like
No, I get that. Yeah, 100%. Like I think I also liked because like nothing as interesting happened this year as like last year with the whole Moonlight and La La Land debacle.
I love how they gave the same fella to actually give out the
award. Yeah,
the award. One of the fellas, one of the two was actually the same person who did it last year, and it was like whoever the one who got it then. He looked at it, double checked the card beforehand.
Yeah. He was so careful pulling it out as well. He was like, "Oh, just make sure that all these parts are like okay."
Yeah.
I was like, I appreciate that. Like, fair fucks to that guy. Yeah. So I think we'll probably jump in now to like our reactions.
Yeah.
So I think we'll do, because there was, I wouldn't say controversy necessarily.
Yeah.
But I would say that there was a bit of like debate about the editing and like mixing categories. So that's film, sound, and then just sound mixing as well. So Dunkirk sweeped all those awards. It was actually the only awards they won all night, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And I actually talked to a lot of people that were quite disappointed with the fact that Dunkirk took all three. I think a lot of people expected Baby Driver to maybe get some awards. Like, you've seen Baby Driver, so what you thought about the sound and editing in that film?
Oh jeez, yeah, I wasn't actually thinking that for the sound mixing and stuff. Yeah, definitely Baby Driver would have been an easy one to get for. I didn't see Dunkirk now, to be honest with you, so I don't know exactly how much it deserved it, but Baby Driver was a big one, and for some of the sound categories, Shape of Water definitely deserved it.
Yeah, I think so. Shape of Water had a lot of
maybe
like
sound editing. No, sound editing definitely would have definitely gone to Baby Driver.
Yeah, I
because
feel
of
like
how it was formulated. It was like the between music and when he takes out the earbuds and then he puts it on in the car or something like that.
Like I feel like I really appreciated. We both appreciate in the way that they like matched sound and action.
Yeah, and the whole thing where the main character didn't have he didn't have his music, so he had the radio station, and he didn't continue with the robbery until he got the music right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like
I really
things like that. I know that wasn't
exactly
like that. Definitely goes down to sound editing as well. Like
I think so. I think that maybe Dunkirk deserved sound mixing because of the way that, like, I know you haven't seen the movie, but like essentially they match this like overarching like really tense soundtrack throughout the entire movie, and it mixes really well with like the not natural sounds, the sounds of like gunfire and all that kind of stuff, like, and bombs going off. So like I really like that, and then the editing one then you could probably
film editing, is it?
Yeah, film editing. Then you could see it going either way, really.
Film editing. Now, I actually would. I myself probably would have given it to I, Tonya.
I haven't seen I, Tonya. So.
I, Tonya. It was the structure of it that I think film editing it would have deserved it for, because it goes according to, it's kind of like it's an interview scenario where it's like talking about the whole situation, and then it's like you see Tonya talking about it, how it happened. You see it go out, and then it was like, then someone else talks about it and says something, and then it goes back to her and she says, "This did not happen." Like, it was like there was a thing where they talked about it, and there was her then in the scene where a shotgun or something, and saying that this is bullshit. This is not what exactly happened. You've definitely seen it in the trailer.
No, I've seen the trailers before. Is it kind of like they create like unreliable narrators?
Yeah, that's a huge thing, and it definitely goes well with film editing. Like,
yeah, no, like I honestly, I haven't seen the movie, so like I can't say much. I've actually seen the other 4 movies in this category once, you know.
I mean,
but yeah,
I've seen 4 out of the 5 in this category. Actually,
yeah, it's like one of the categories that we've actually both seen. Yeah. We've actually seen all the movies in it together.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could honestly, like, I really like Baby Driver. I appreciated Dunkirk for its filmic like techniques and like the way it was made. Like, as an actual film, I would prefer Baby Driver, but I can see why Dunkirk won a lot of those awards. Like, I don't think it's as big a deal as some people are making it out to be, but I do think that in a way, Baby Driver was a bit shafted by not winning at least one. Like, why would you give all three to Dunkirk? Like, I know that they kind of do that every year with, like, the big film that doesn't get any big awards, they give them all the technical awards a lot of the time, like, which you can kind of see, especially with Blade Runner, because it won cinematography, thank God.
I never saw Blade Runner, and I haven't seen the original either, so...
Yeah, but...
So, judge me all you want.
Yeah, man. Well, basically, like, the guy that did the cinematography for this, Roger Deakins, it's his 14th nomination, and it's his first win ever. And, like, he's done films like Shawshank Redemption, like, he's done other... Man, I just can't think of all the films he's done.
So many! Shawshank Redemption.
He's done a lot of films. He's done a lot of Oscar-nominated films, like, I just can't think right now because my brain is, fried, like... But, like, I'm glad that they won that. Like, then if we kind of moved on to the screenplay categories, I thought were very interesting. So, what do you think about, I think honestly, I feel like Call Me By Your Name in that category probably deserved to win.
Or we're doing adapted screenplay.
Adapted screenplay, so it's, from the novel. Like, I am kind of, in a way, disappointed about Logan and Mudbound, because I love those two movies. Like, I like The Disaster Artist too. Haven't seen Molly's Game. Like,
Logan's
I feel like...
the only one I've seen in this category.
Yeah. And you weren't a big fan of it, were you?
I wasn't, no.
So, like, I feel like you probably don't even mind that. I think that the bigger controversy... Well, not controversy, but a bigger talking point would be Get Out winning Best Original Screenplay. So what would you say about that decision, looking at the other films there?
What screenplay then? That's... What's that
original screenplay. So
that's
so Get Out won original screenplay over like films like
Well, Shape of Water, I guess. Shape of Water, it's not as an original of a concept, is it?
Shape of Water. Well,
no. I mean, it's
original in execution, but maybe not the actual.
No, the concept itself isn't exactly.
Yeah, like Beauty and the Beast. Like, no, I agree.
Beauty and Beast, and it adds some Greek mythology into it and the god thing. It's a blend of everything, but it's not. It's not exactly original. And they also I said before that there's a short that is very similar to. Yeah. Similar to it, and that's That's why I wouldn't call Shape of Water original. And Lady Bird, I didn't see it, but from what
it was okay.
But I wouldn't say original.
The script was good. Like, yeah, definitely not original. But, like, okay, I will say I think the Shape of Water maybe not in not in like the actual like what it is, right? But in execution, the Shape of Water is very original. Like the way that the story is told, I think it's quite original. But yeah, the actual concept. I mean, it's like Beauty and the Beast. That type of thing. And I agree with you, man, on that 100%.
I mean, like you're not going to go 100%.
No, like, you can, man.
And same Get Out. Get Out has obviously stole some concepts and stuff like.
Yeah,
but
it's not inspiration, like, you know what I mean. Everything is inspired by things.
No, it's definitely. I'd say it definitely deserves that one. Like I said, I actually saw 3 billboards outside Edinburgh, Missouri, yesterday for this, but. But I still wouldn't think that it deserves the original screenplay. I
would have definitely, honestly.
I don't know.
So out of all these films,
maybe it is.
I feel like what 3 billboards did with like dialogue and characterization stuff, like is like one of the best things I've seen a script do with that kind of stuff, like material in like years. Like I do honestly, I really like Get Out. I do feel like it was a bit of a political play by the Academy to give it to it. Like that's taking nothing away from Jordan Peele. Like the script is fantastic. Yeah. It would probably be my second choice in that category behind 3 billboards, but like 3 billboards, man, is just like unbelievable. Like I think, that was probably the thing I was most disappointed about in the entire that, and maybe best film as well, which we'll get onto soon in about 2 minutes. But like, moving on swiftly, go to directing. I feel like Guillermo del Toro was the favorite. He deserved it.
I mean, we said it before. Last podcast, it was like Jordan Peele did a very good job, but it was none in comparison to Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I think that he definitely deserved it this time. Anyway, I don't feel like there was much competition. I only saw two of the movies, but from what I know of the other ones, that it's not too much difficulty in directing. This one had a lot of direct and interactive with it.
100%. I feel like it was completely deserved. There's nothing really to say about it. It was just like that was what it is. Like best performance by an actress in a supporting role. Now I haven't seen like from the favorites and stuff. I had actually because I had a bet going with one of my friends which I won. Won €2. Big box like. I actually had Alison Janney on to win because she was favorite and because people said that she was so good in the movie. You've actually seen I, Tonya. You had all praise for her last week. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said that. No, she definitely deserved it. I think that's actually a very good one to give it to. I mean, What's the other ones? The only other one is
Shape of Water.
Shape of Water, Octavia Spencer. But no, out of the two of them, Alison Janney in I, Tonya definitely deserved.
Yeah. Like
she was she was very cruel and did a very cruel job of it. Like, and it was very good.
Yeah, to be fair, like the only other I've seen 4 out of the 5 of the films here. I haven't seen Phantom Thread, which I feel bad about. Need to watch it. To be honest with you, there was nothing special about Laurie Metcalf in Lady Bird. Like, there was just nothing special. Like, I wasn't a big fan of the film. I thought that the only real stand-up performance in the entire film was Saoirse Ronan, so, like, I just didn't think that she deserved it. Mary J. Blige, you could probably say, because Mudbound was a great film and she was fantastic in it, but from what I've heard, Alison Janney is deserving of that. So, then we'll move on to Best Performance by a Supporting Actor, and I would definitely say that Sam Rockwell deserved it.
Oh, he definitely did.
100%.
I was actually talking about this with a friend earlier today, that between Woody Harrelson and Sam Rockwell, it was they were both in the same movie, Three Billboards, but Sam definitely deserved it out more than Woody, because his role, he was the character kind of stood out more.
Yeah, 100%. I think he had a bigger arc as well in the film.
Although Richard Jenkins in This Is the Shape of Water was pretty decent.
Yeah, he was really good.
He was really good, but and say like Christopher Plummer as well. But I don't know. I guess I mean, the character had a lot of development in Three Billboards. Sam Rockwell's character.
Did, yeah.
So
yeah, I think he deserved as well. I think we're kind of both in agreement about that. Like, then we'll go to leading actor as well. Now, I actually don't know what your opinion on, or sorry, actress I meant, sorry. I don't actually know what your opinion is on Frances McDormand, because we haven't talked about her yet.
I thought she was alright. I
thought she was only alright, man.
I thought she was decent. It was alright.
I thought she was probably, I think Sam Rockwell was the best part of the movie, not gonna lie. But I think Frances McDormand was like a close second for me, like, just because I think Sam Rockwell, because his character is a dickhead in that movie, like, I'm not gonna lie. And like, I wouldn't even say he's completely redeemed by the end, but it's the beginning of an arc where you can see like why he was so damaged, why he did the things he did, and that it's a person that you could see maybe not turning it around, but like beginning an arc of like changing, but not maybe for the good, maybe for the bad, we're not really sure. But then with Frances McDormand, I really appreciated her turn as this tragic.
Did you see her accept the
yeah.
I cringed so much.
Let's not talk about that.
No,
okay?
I just want to.
We're not talking about that.
Cringed so much. It was literally just what like, we won't say much about it, but literally just what happened was the water went to the ground. I was like, women, stand up. I was like, for fuck's sake.
I was like, stop it. Like, I know, man. It's like, let's just.
Yeah, we'll just leave it there.
That entire thing is just like, let's just not talk about it.
It was just a big cringe-worthy moment that I think it needs to be mentioned.
We're not a political commentary podcast, okay? We won't talk about fucking Academy Man, you know.
I reckon Sally Hawkins deserved this Shape of Water.
Do you think?
I think she definitely deserved it over Frances McDormand.
I would probably be the. To be honest with you, they're very close in my mind. They're very close in my mind.
The character expressed itself in multiple ways. There was, I mean, like, look, the whole thing is the character never spoke in it.
Yeah.
And she was able to communicate more than most people in the movie. I mean, not with other people, but in the movie itself. She was so expressed and there were so many layers to it.
She was so expressive and like.
Expressive.
I think I know I really agree with you. I feel like with the amount that Sally Hawkins had to work with, she really, really, really did the most with it.
And how she expressed her outrage, anger, and her joy with the tap dancing and all this stuff. It was just well put together. Like It was like, I mean, I just felt Sally Hawkins had a lot more to work with, and she executed it perfectly, and I think she definitely deserved it more. Yeah. I think she won it. I think she should have won it by a landmark.
I think that I'm probably the complete opposite. Like, I think it was probably close, but I think that overall, I think Frances McDormand probably deserved it. Then we'll go on to only 2 more categories. So the second last category we're going to talk about is leading actor. You haven't seen Darkest Hour.
I've only seen Get Out.
Get Out. You liked Daniel Kaluuya. I'll probably talk about this a bit, like, only for a tiny bit. I think that Gary Oldman deserved it. I think he was the favorite, and like, I'm kind of glad I'm glad he won. Like, I didn't see Phantom Thread, and I haven't seen Roman J. Israel Esquire either.
Winston Churchill he played with.
He played Winston Churchill, yeah. Like, not only did he play Winston Churchill, he completely. Like, he was Winston Churchill. Like, he completely embodied Winston Churchill. As in, there was only one part in the entire movie where I thought that his voice kind of gave away that he wasn't Winston Churchill. For the rest of the thing, he looks like him, he acts like him, he sounds like him. Like, he takes all of his mannerisms. Like, that is like an achievement to do. Like, because none of the other characters in this. Well, I think Roman J. Israel Esquire is a real person, but I haven't seen the film, so I don't know how good Denzel Washington was in the movie. Like, the fact that he didn't get much award recognition except for the Oscars is a bit telling of, like, maybe that it was kind of like they had 4 people and they were like, oh, we need a 5th actor, so let's just get him in. I haven't seen the movie, so I feel like I might be doing him a bit hard there, but like everyone else then, like Daniel Day-Lewis is always great, but I can't really say anything about him. Like, one thing I will say is that Timothée Chalamet has a really, really promising career ahead of him. Like, I mean, he was I feel like I was watching. Speaking of like really good actors, I was watching the Heath Ledger documentary. I Am Heath Ledger the last day. And I feel like when I was watching that, I felt like Heath Ledger was like a once in a generation type of actor.
Yeah. And
I feel like as the type of transformative actor that can take on any role and do like a near perfect job with it and completely make it his own. I feel like Timothée Chalamet could be the next that type of actor in this generation. Like, I saw him in a film called Miss Stevens as well last night. Played a completely different type of character to the character he played in Call Me By Your Name, and still was fantastic in it. So I think that, although Gary Oldman won the Oscar this time, I think that it's only a matter of time before Timothée Chalamet takes one for himself. So we'll move on speedily then to the last category, the biggest one, which I actually think was quite, I wouldn't say shocking. I would actually say shocking in a way, actually. I was pretty shocked by this. I thought that 3 Billboards was a shoo-in. It was favorite. It was probably my favorite movie as well of all the Oscar films this year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was robbed, but yeah, like Shape of Water won. Like, so what do you think about that?
Well, Shape of Water, I mean, like, it got a lot of awards this year, didn't it?
Yeah, it did you?
It got a fair bit, but I don't know. I think it was well deserved of Best Picture. Like, I mean.
Yeah, no, I think that honestly,
it was well put together, and there wasn't a lot wrong with there wasn't really anything wrong with the movie. It was just whether was your taste or not.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, I mean, some people it's how you interpret it as well. Because what you call it, the thing I spotted, which nobody else did about in the movie. There was
you spotted a couple of it. To be fair, you were like well on your game that day.
Yeah.
Like, we were all like, "Oh, it was a great movie," and then you were pointing all the stuff, and we were like, "Jesus, Shane, like this is crazy." Like the stuff with the eggs and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite good by you.
But there was a few things in the movie that I spotted, and I said it. A friend said that he thought it was only okay, and I said to him what a few things I noticed in the movie, and he was like, "Oh, the movie's actually a lot better now."
Yeah, well, to be fair, he was still like, I was talking about it today, and he was like, dude, like, I really appreciate the movie and its messages and stuff, but he was like, I'm creeped out by it, and I'll never watch it again. And I was like, fair enough.
Oh yeah, who's this?
Oh yeah. I don't know, I'm not completely sure what you're talking about, but well, I think Billy appreciates it as a piece of film, but maybe not. To be fair, I've talked to a lot of people that were like weirded out by the movie. Like, it's a movie that I feel like you either love or hate. Like,
yeah,
I was on the loving side.
Was a bit low of a rating. I was talking to someone who was saying that it should be 16s really, at the very least. Yeah, it was like, I mean, I don't care about ratings that much, but it was just like, it felt odd. The movie opens up with 15s and over, and then right away you just see a woman in the bathtub doing stuff, that.
Well, it's like stuff that
stuff that you do on your own.
Yeah. So no, but to be fair, in Ireland the rating is 15, whereas in America it's 16s.
Yeah.
Or no, is it the other way around?
No, because we have 15s and 16s here.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
I honestly get confused. I to be honest with you, since I turned 18, I was like, I don't need to look at ratings anymore.
We have PG, 15, 16s, 18s.
Yeah.
And well, we have G's as well.
We have 12 as well.
Is it 12s?
Yeah,
it's 12s.
Or is it PG?
G, PG.
Oh, yeah, no, I get your point. Yeah. Like, it maybe should have been higher. I wouldn't say 18s definitely, but like, yeah, other films in the category that probably could have. To be honest with you, the only other film that I would have been happy with to win would have been Call Me By Your Name, simply because it's just a great movie, man. I'm not gonna lie, but like, to be honest with you, I'm happy enough with Shape of Water. I think that like overall this year, the Oscars, they had no massive fuck ups. Everyone that won, yeah, like everyone that won was pretty good.
La La Land.
Oh man, it would have been hilarious if they'd done it again. If so, they said La La Land, that would have been hilarious.
What would have been yeah, that would have been the best thing ever if your man was like La La Land and everyone's like
that would have been hilarious. I feel like the Oscars this year were actually pretty boring, man.
Yeah, no,
they were quite
your man
boring,
definitely should have done that. I mean, like, I feel like it's a joke that people mightn't have taken well, but it would have been good.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like, well, man, awards season is over this year anyway, so that's great because we can move on to another year of film now. Like, that's always the best thing about awards ceremony or the award season ending is like, oh, it's like the new year of film now. So like, hopefully you'll join us for that new year of film. We'd like to thank you for joining us today. Yeah, so we'll definitely be from now on uploading every Tuesday. So this will be up. You'll be listening to it now, obviously, but from now on every Tuesday, probably around 6 or 7. Be uploading the podcast, so I hope that you'll come back and join us next week again.
We might try to change the topic to something that's not exactly as new. Like we might steer away from The Walking Dead for a bit.
No, we're not going to be doing The Walking Dead every week. We don't want to be a Walking Dead podcast. I feel like The 100 is coming back soon. You'll be hearing us talk about that.
Yeah.
When that comes back. We're probably gonna I'm not 100% sure what we're gonna talk about next week yet.
I'm thinking we might do something like that. Favorite TV shows. We might bring up summaries on that.
I'd be down with
on
that.
things to watch. So we might do some.
Or look, if you have any suggestions for us, actually leave them in the comments. Like we got no comments in the last episode. I'm not gonna lie. It's looking barren out there. It's like the fucking Wild West.
Actually, I was told if a friend got a. There's this thing on YouTube, a fella got like 70 subscribers of that. It's like a 12-year-old kid. When he got 70 subscribers, he just went out camping with that, and immediately his whole thing went up to like 70,000.
Like, that's what we need. We need 70,000 subscribers.
Yeah, that's what we need. So guys, spread the message.
Yeah, help us get part of this 70,000 subscriber club.
Join the fish and chips and goodbye.
Yeah, man, goodbye. Yeah, that's I think that's the best type of ending we could possibly have, so yeah, we'll just leave it at that.